Welcome gallery, viewers online, staff and councillors to Richmond Valley Council's Ordinary Council meeting for Tuesday the 9th of December 2023. I'll open the meeting with acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture, connection to lands, their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you read the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our Richmond Valley community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Item 3 on the agenda is public access. There's been no requests. We have one apology from Councillor Cornish, who has work commitments. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Morrissey, seconder. Councillor Hayes. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. There is no mayoral minute, but Mr General Manager, I believe that Council has received an award. Could you give us an update on the brief on what?
Yeah, so we received an award from our insurer, Civic Risk Mutual, insures for around 25 councils across New South Wales, and the award is for excellence in risk management, and that was for our flood response to the floods of 2022, and some of the things we've done in particular around how we manage our assets and to make them more resilient to withstand any future similar floods. And so some examples of how we've done that, and those here and listening will notice that a number of our pump stations, the electrical switchboards have been raised significantly. We had to do a lot of work at the Riley's Hill sewage treatment plant to raise equipment. So it's getting those sorts of electrical equipment higher. Our casino indoor sports stadium has a new and different flooring that is designed to withstand inundation of water. So other halls that we've had to rebuild, where we've been able to, we've done them in a more flood resilient materials. And the other one is for those in casino, just the other side of the river in Queen Elizabeth Park, just next to the twin pines that were planted by the Queen. The facility, which is called a comminuta, which is a very old piece of infrastructure that was severely damaged in the floods. And on tonight's agenda, you will receive a report back on a tender that we have let to build a new pump station for the sewerage network in that area, and that pump station will be located away from those trees and further up the slope, more towards the sort of fence line around QE. So they're just some of the examples of what we've done, and we obviously continue to take that into account as we build facilities, similar with the new facilities at Collie Park. The choice of building and the way they've been set up is to make sure that they are better prepared for future flood or flash flood events. So always nice to get recognition. I know that we're not the only council doing a lot of these things across New South Wales, but we'll take the recognition when it comes. So thank you. And thanks to our team, who obviously put a lot of time and effort, our water and sewer team in particular, and our asset team, into the planning and thought and delivery of these projects.
And Mr General Manager, could you pass our councillors' congratulations on to all those relevant staff that were involved in that risk management, please? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do, and we've also, as part of being in the Civic Risk Mutual network, committed to some feedback to support their, I suppose, promotion and education of these sorts of initiatives across their network. So we'll get that done as well in the new year.
Thank you. Next item is 6.1, Minutes of the ordinary meeting held in the 21st of November 2023. And councillors, I also have 6.2, minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 11th of December 2023. Could I get a mover of that, please?
I'll move.
Councillor Hayes and Councillor McGilling second. Is everyone satisfied with the accuracy of those minutes? Put that motion then. All those in favour? Is there any matters arising out of those minutes? Item 7. No matters. Declarations of interest. Has any councillors got any declarations of interest? Mr General Manager, have you received any?
No, none received.
Petitions nil. Notice of motions. Item 10 nil. On page 7, I have my mayoral attendance report. I'll move that. Could I get a seconder, please?
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Any questions arising out of that? Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Page 8, there is a delegates report for the Local Government New South Wales Conference. I'll move that as I attended. And I'll get a seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Humphries. Any questions arising that? The report's pretty straightforward. All the resolutions are there. You can go to their site and if you want. It was a bit of a short brief for us. We were supposed to hopefully get there on the Sunday night, but I think we're leaving at 2:15. 1:45, the General Manager notified me that our plane had been cancelled. So we looked around for other flights and it wasn't possible to get down there on that night. So and even for the start of the next day's conference. So we got in the car and drove. We arrived there about 11, I think, that night. Went to the conference on the Monday when all the motions are put. And then we had to be home that afternoon. So, well, actually I had another meeting on the Wednesday. And so we left there 8 o'clock and we were home that afternoon. So it was down and back. And yeah, but we did get a flight. We could have had a flight on the Tuesday. That's how ridiculous the whole system is. So, down, not back. So yeah, other than that, it was a conference like all the Local Government New South Wales conferences, mainly the resolutions and some awards and that, but hopefully something will come out of those resolutions to the government for seeking further funding, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Other speakers? I'll put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Matters determined about debate on page 9. Has any councillors got anything to call?
15.1, Mr Mayor.
Any other councillors?
Yeah, 14.1
14.1.
and 17.1.
Any other? I'll call 14.3. No other? So I need a motion, please, for 14.2, 16.1, 17.2 and 17.3. Yep. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Deegan, a seconder.
Second.
Councillor Humphries. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Now go over to page 10. 14.1, Richmond Valley Council Key Directions 2024. Councillor Hayes. Could you put your light on, please?
I'd like to change or just add to the recommendation at dot point 1. If it can read, I'll just read it out. notes the progress on supporting continued flood recovery and growth in the Richmond Valley in 2023, including Council's success in securing record levels of government funding for community projects. So we can add that bit in, and 2 and 3 as written.
Have you got that?
Julie's got it.
Need a seconder, please.
Second, thank you.
Councillor Hayes.
I think it's important to add that in because with all that stuff that's in that report, lots of the activities and the projects that we've funded wouldn't have been able to be funded if we didn't get grant money to get them where they are today. And I think it needs mentioning in there that that's the main reason that those things have gone ahead and gone ahead so well. So I think it needs to be recorded.
Any other?
Just, there's a couple of areas I'd just like a little bit more information on. I'm sorry if I've missed it previously. On page 11, it talks about, down the bottom, it talks about the mid-Richmond communities with the appointment of a specialist team of consultants to guide combined place and adaptation planning for Corrokai, Woodburn, Broadwater, Riley's Hill and Evans Head. That adaptation, I've not seen that word there before. Is it a place plan and adaptation? Just a clarification on that, thanks.
Director Jones.
Yeah, you can talk about it, Angela.
Yes, Councillor Humphreys, it is relatively new. We were successful in obtaining some funding from New South Wales Reconstruction Authority to include some adaptation planning. So we actually are doing a larger scope than we originally intended. So the adaptation planning is looking to the future and what these towns look like, but also to see if we can factor in how to plan and respond better in the event of climate change and natural disasters and things like that. So it's been, in my opinion, a win-win. We're actually expanding on our original scope and hopefully we'll have some solid and thorough plans in place. In early 2024, you'll see some community consultation with regards to these adaptation and place plans in the mid-Richmond. So we haven't advertised them yet. We're trying to lock in dates, but we'll be consulting with our community heavily.
Thanks very much. I thought that word held a lot of meaning. The other one I'd like to ask about is page 12, and it's about establishing the new Alive and Invest Richmond Valley. I just wondered what that, I love the purpose of it. I think it's hugely important. I just wondered what that team would look like, what would the makeup of that team will be.
Director Zeller.
Yeah, so a typical local government way of setting things up is your traditional economic development. That's what we called it. But we actually think it's probably more than that these days, particularly after the flood events and where the valleys come. We think it's more about investment in our region and livability of our region. So as alluded to before, with the funding that we've received for things like the showground and the rail trail, generally those assets would be managed by our assets team, but we want it to be more than that. Like it's a real opportunity for us. It's an opportunity for people to start businesses, to really activate those things. So we want to assign that responsibility to a particular team. So to answer your question around the structure, we want to introduce a new management level position because we think it deserves that level of scrutiny and attention, and they'd be responsible for things like the rail trail, the showgrounds, our quarries, our aerodromes, all of these sort of assets that we've got that for want of a better word, haven't really had a home. Like we've run them operationally, but not to the next level of how do we really activate these things and get them going to the best of their ability. So there's already a funded position in our structure for a support coordinator. So that to begin with, that would be a 2-person team, and then we would see how that goes in the first couple of months. So that's how we're intending to set that up. Keep an eye out for the advertisements, hopefully by the end of the week. So we're going ahead with it.
Sounds fantastic, and I love your use of words, we want to be more. So I would like to just speak generally to the the motion. The report outlines the massive amount of planning and work achieved in 2023, and supported by Council's budget and the long-term financial plans, what is planned for further progress and delivery in 2024. The detail is on page 11 and 13. And across areas of recovery work are still planned for the following 2 years on our local roads, bridges and culverts, given that we had a massive, with $150 million worth of flood recovery. Completion and progress is outlined with projects, for example, the rail trail and the casino showgrounds and the casino and the Korakai pools. And then the future, what's happening in 2024, what's it going to look like? It goes into really good detail: replacement of the casino sewage treatment plant, the upgrade of the Evans Head sewage treatment plant, continued investigation, importantly, with our water security, and taking responsibility for our own waste with our Cell 6 projected life of 10 years, and working towards unlocking 187 hectare of industrial land, which we're hoping will create up to 600 jobs. The report contains example after example of achievements for 2023 and direction for 2024. There's lots of opportunity for community consultation and prompt, friendly customer service at the forefront of all our efforts. Thanks very much, Councillor Hayes, for including that funding, that huge amount of funding, and that leads me into council staff and the Mayor have robustly advocated on many occasions successfully for funds to support Richmond Valley's recovery and our progress. Some unbelievable success and support. Although there have been times of utter despair during the past few years, this council has always stayed the course and forged a positive path through some ridiculously unrelenting times. Always positive, always with the community's well-being in mind and our community's future. There is a lot of work to be done, and I say we are up for it. Go team Richmond Valley Council, and I would like to say to the staff and the Mayor, congratulations and thank you so very much.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillors, there's some statements in this report which I find very promising and for Richmond Valley's future. And I'll just read a couple of them. We have also taken the first step towards securing Richmond Valley's place as an emerging regional growth centre with more housing, jobs and opportunities for the future. And then it goes on to mention what Councillor Humphries just talked about. Council will be establishing a new Live and Invest Richmond Valley team to drive economic development and enhance community lifestyles across the valley. The team will initially focus on activating the Regional Jobs Precinct, and I think Council being identified that a couple of years ago of 1 of 4 in the whole state is a big achievement. Harnessing the opportunities from the rail trail and showground developments and implementing key priorities from the Mid-Richmond Place plans, which are yet to be done and will be consulted very early in the next year. In those place plans for development down there, it also reads, we are also progressing the much needed infrastructure upgrades, such as the detailed design and procurement of stage 2 of the Evans Head sewer treatment plant. That is vital not only for Evans Head, but also for Woodburn, North Woodburn and Broadwater, because all that sewage goes through that treatment plant. So for any of those towns to have any progress, that really needs to be done stage 2. I also look at the highlights on page 11 and 12 and 13 of some of those sections, and delivering for our community, protecting our unique environment, creating great places to live, strengthening our role in the region. And I believe that Richmond Valley's role in the region over the next 5 to 10 years is going to be very strong, and there will be people wanting to start businesses here, come here and live, as I believe we have got a very good future ahead of us. And some further good news that the General Manager may want to refer to in our agenda is about the showground. That we've been waiting for the government to sign the papers, and I'll hand over to you, Mr. General Manager.
Yeah, so I think this one's a real testament to our project team for that job. Daniel Rowland's the manager, and Lani Hancock's who is the project manager for that. The upgrade to the showground and racecourse, and we've obviously done regular updates and videos to show what's happening there. But obviously, through the period that this project has been built, there's been challenges around resourcing and supply chain issues and cost escalations. And so as a result of that, and as a result of the really good progress, it's sort of leading the way in that fund. It's the Bushfire Local Economic Recovery Fund. It's the most progressed project. We're managing it with our own team. It was an $8.2 million funded project. We're also successful in getting some, I think it was $1 million or so out of the Crown Lands Reserve Fund. But with those, I suppose, cost escalations and also the fact that we've got a full master plan that has plenty in it, we've secured an additional $4.68 million. That will enable us to finish a lot more of that master plan. And only yesterday they finished pouring the base slab of the equine pool. That will be an addition to the racing stables, obviously brand new racing stables out there. But that will be a 50-metre pool for racehorses to swim in. So that obviously just adds another, I suppose, attraction to boost the racing industry in our area and its attractiveness to trainers. We've obviously got local trainers, but also make it attractive to trainers within the region, but beyond the region, as not only the racing stables, but the track. It's a good track. Doesn't suffer the same, I suppose, wetness that other tracks in our region can be faced with when you have heavy rainfall. So a lot of upgrades have happened, but I think key message there was just that getting those additional funds. And again, it's about stimulus. So AGS, who are doing that job for us, it means they're able to do more of that work, and we'll also have other contractors that can, contribute to that project. So it's on track for. We're looking at planning and opening in sometime in April. Is our target. We're just at the moment trying to fit it into other types of event schedules, whether that be race meetings, show dates, and other horse-related events. So we haven't confirmed a date at this stage. But yeah, good news for that project, but also for the community. It's a key project, that one obviously, along with, it's about attracting tourism and outside interest into our area, as is the rail trail. So yeah, good news to get that additional funding. It was a lot of hard work went into securing it. It was a good day signing that funding agreement.
And I think you're being a bit shy on it. That money was left in that fund, and they were looking for projects that had measured up and said what we would do. And when they looked around and seen where we were in our master plan and that, they knew that we could deliver, because we had. And $4.6 million extra to that facility is a really big boost. And I believe that Richmond Valley will become the equine capital of not the far north coast, but the north coast, and also going inland. And I can't wait for it to be open and start to be used and attract people to come to our area. So well done to those staff members that delivered that project. You can pass that on to them, please, Mr. General Manager.
Yep, sure will. They've done a great job. Almost there, but just finishing off some final touches over the next couple of months.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, I'll take my right of reply. Look, it's good to sit around here and listen to all the good stuff that's in that report and the summary that Councillor Humphrey's done and the Mayor and the bit that's just been added on about the money for the racecourse. It's all great, but my biggest concern is the priorities that will come out of these place plans and how much the Reconstruction Authority and what they do in the next 6 to 8, 10, 12 months do to promote those plans and help us get those plans underway. I think the biggest issue, especially in the mid-Richmond area, is the lack of land that's available for future housing and growth. We talk about future housing and growth. We've spoke about the Evans Head sewage plant. Right? If there's no houses left in Woodburn or Broadwater, you know, the plant will be underutilised. I know we need it there for growth if it comes along, but unless we get land that we can develop down there, it's just not going to happen. I know you mentioned North Woodburn, not much is going to happen over there. It's out of our council area anyway, but then we get up to Coracai. You know, these place plans need to be thorough. Our work's not finished yet. It's only just starting down that way. I know we've got place plan in place in Casino and there's some good stuff getting done around that. We've got housing subdivisions, we've got industrial stuff, which is needed. But down there, we need to do something for those lower area rivers, especially the ones that have been impacted by the floods. I don't know what we can do, but we've got to do something. We need to get onto the local politicians and get them working for us. You know, there's got to be a link there between the Reconstruction Commission, who are just doing what they want to do. They're not listening to anyone. We've got to get in there and make them listen. So I'd just like to get that point across. Other than that, it's a great report. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes the debate. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. .3, I call that. I'll move it. Seconder, please. Councillor Morrissey. Councillors, this is a very important document for our community. And I note in a report that the draft plan was exhibited for 21 days for public consultation, with 2 community submissions being received. Both submissions provided valuable suggestions on how council might apply the key recommendations of the plan to this ongoing operations. This feedback will help to inform future planning for programs and projects, including the design or modified of council's facilities. Now, councillors, I read that because I've actually do the White Cane Day through our main street, and until have got some visually impaired glasses, you don't appreciate what people with disabilities what it takes to navigate some of our streets and crossings and footpaths, and I look forward to the plan being implemented. I'm also very pleased with the casino swimming pool with the access ramp there, and also down at Coracai the other day I seen the set of steps with the handrails there that makes that pool more accessible for disability people. So I'm glad we have a plan, and I look forward, as I said, to an implementation. So, any other speakers?
I've just got
Councillor
a
Humphries.
question, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to ask, on page 16, it says there it's important to remember that the plan is linked to other council plans. Just, I should have had a look, but I didn't. If you go onto council's website and you find the plan, are there links there for all of these? The delivery program, the operational plan, the workforce? Is there a link there that can send, if they're linked, is there somehow that these 2 people who made the submission or anybody else will be able to just go, oh bang, I need to have a look at that, I need to have a look at that, and I need to have a look at that?
Mr. General Manager.
Look, I'd have to check if, I'm not sure that they're directly linked. The other documents are definitely on our website, the delivery program and operational plan. I suppose what it's saying is that like we do, we have a tourism plan, or we actually have a destination management plan. We have a lot of plans for different aspects of our business. And it's about having the plan or the strategy of what you want to achieve, and then your actual doing it goes in your delivery program and then your operational plan. So I suppose the point that's making is that there are clear aims and goals that we want to achieve with this plan. The way we actually make that happen is then annually we put actions and initiatives into our operational plan, which is where we identify and we put money towards the different initiatives. So I suppose that's what it's linked in that way. But as far as connecting them on our website, we'd have to have a look at that and whether there's a reference there that can point people to it to help them to understand how, I suppose, local government planning interconnects, because with a business like this, there are a lot of different plans because we do so many different things. It's like we're working on our waste strategy at the moment, and there's always something that we're reviewing and looking at. But what we actually do each 12 months is in that operational plan, and the delivery program is for the term of each elected council.
Thank you.
Any other speakers? I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. .1 on page 18. It's Northern Regional Planning Panel Council appointed delegates, and I think Councillor Morrissey called it.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'll move the recommendation as it is.
Second.
Councillor Morrissey?
No, nothing, Mr Mayor.
It's just a planning matter, so it had to be called. Any other speakers?
Yeah, I'd just like to say a few words. That planning panel, I've been on it for quite a while now, and you get a 3-year appointment, and me and Sam are the sitting panel members on that for the council. And I'd just recommend anyone in the council that for later on, if you want to get on that panel, it's interesting. You don't have many, but when they do come up, you learn a lot about what council staff does from the planning for these things when they're at these regional planning meetings, and you get to understand how hard the planning system is and how we can end up in the Land and Environment Court. I think it's a good thing for everyone that's on council to have a go at and pick up a bit of knowledge. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Right, a reply?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Next item on the agenda now is 17.1 on page 22. Section 711, 712, the Section 64 Development Contributions and Expenditure Update. Councillor Hayes.
Just move the recommendation as written.
Seconder. Councillor McGillen.
I just called this for a question. So a bit further down the track, we'll have the opportunity in the 24-25 financial year to, no we won't, because we won't, for a short time, yeah we will, to be able to allocate this money to projects that aren't funded. Is that what happens? Till we get further down the track? I know there's already some of the stuff's been budgeted and in the plan, but do we get the opportunity to add to it?
Usually when we're doing our budget, the projects will be identified with funding sources, and those projects, if they're in there, some will be funded from this, a lot will be out of our rates or grants, so they will be in the whole budget.
So we don't get an opportunity to add to that list?
Well,
between now and then?
When the budget's being done, the councillor's got an opportunity to put in there what they like. Whether it gets adopted or not, that's up to them.
Yeah, okay. There's a few projects down our way that I think need to go in there, that's all. So, yeah, so when the opportunity arises, that's when we'll address them. So, thank you.
Yep.
With the 7.12, which is the former Section 94A, so we're currently going through that process of reviewing our 7.12 plan. So that's where you can identify projects across the Richmond Valley that those funds can be put to. So the section 7.11, so as an example, a heavy haulage fee, so that comes from our quarries. That's where we allocate funding to fix roads, generally in the vicinity of our quarries. But if there are ideas, across our civic spaces, that's 7.12 plan, which we're going through that review process, is an opportunity to put projects forward.
Yeah, there's a couple of projects that come to mind for those 7.12s, which is the upgrade of the main street in Evans Head. It's disgusting. And the footpath network in Corrikai, as Councillor McGillen brought up, a couple of weeks ago. So we need to make sure that we can get them in there at the right time.
Yep, and that can be included when we do review that.
Yep, thank you.
Any other speakers? Right, reply, good. Put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Matters for information. Councillors, now we're for item 19, page 31, matters for information. Could I get a mover, please?
Move, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, seconder. Councillor Deegan. Has any councillors got any items they'd like to discuss before I put that?
If, 19.6, just have a question.
Sorry?
19.6.
19.6. Thank you. Councillor Hayes.
That correspondence we've received from the Honourable Paul Scully MP, down the bottom there it says, he says, I also encourage Council's continued engagement with the Parliamentary Secretary for Disaster Recovery and Member for Lismore, Ms Janelle Saffin MP. It's so important that we get people to, I wouldn't say lobby, but write to her and her office, who are not satisfied with the Reconstruction Authority and what they're doing around Woodburn and probably Broadwater and Corrikai. If we don't get onto it soon, it's going to go by the wayside, and the Reconstruction Commission, as I keep saying, is just going to keep doing their business, and we need to get in there and let them know what we want down there. So I don't know how we do that. Do we put a notice in the newsletters to tell everyone to get on the bandwagon and start sending emails? I don't know if that's something that council can do, but I've spoken to Janelle in length the other day, and that's what she's asking for. So I think we need to do something to get it in action. I've spread the word around, the community as far as I can, but there's a lot out there that need to do it.
Look, if you're talking to people, I'd encourage them to do that. I mean, what we certainly do, and in the second last paragraph here, Kieran Hendicott. So I've had a conversation with Kieran this week. Had another conversation with one of their team who looks after the Resilient Homes program today. I'm meeting with their next in line from a deputy secretary tomorrow. So they're here, they're listening. We just, we're really encouraging. You've got to make quicker decisions, and that's been my mantra, and will continue to be. So I think our job as the, I suppose the local government bureaucracy is to work with the bureaucracy, and I think as councillors, and I know the mayor does a lot of it. There's leaders forums each fortnight. Is to advocate at the political level. So I'd certainly encourage you all to do, and as you have recently, Councillor Hayes. But I think the community, if they're not happy with things or they have ideas, I think it's not just about saying what's wrong, it's about, well, how do we fix things, what are the solutions, what do people want? So it's that balance of making sure we focus on solutions. So I think if we keep chipping away at that, the other thing that I've had commitments is that when the Woodburn Advisory Group meets early in the new year, that the Reconstruction Authority will make sure they have a good representation there. Because they certainly are hearing that people aren't happy, in particular in Woodburn. So we'll certainly be inviting them, and we'll make sure we've got a good contingent there as well, so we can hear what all the issues are, but also what are the solutions. So I think it's about attacking it on all fronts, so to speak.
The buyback situation, how it stands at the moment. When it first come around, everyone was excited. Now that they've seen what it's possibly doing to their towns, and it's spreading. I've read some stuff in Lismore. They've got land to go to. They're moving houses. They're relocating houses, but the people that are relocating are left with bigger debts and less house than what they've got at present. So I did see a comment the other day that said, lift them where they stand. Just get rid of the damaged ones. You know, so it's starting to turn around. It's all heading back towards house lifting, but I don't think they're listening. I'm sure they're not listening. Yeah.
The stand by the government and the Reconstruction Authority is those buybacks is to get people out of danger area. And that's what they're really focusing on. And they're saying that if you say to people, we'll raise you, it still leaves them in danger in a flood time. So that's their philosophy, and that's what they're saying.
I understand in Brisbane you got the offer of a buyback or a house raising, and the house raising was carried out differently with engineering in different places so that you could raise your house, whether you're in a dangerous area or not. But down here, they're all about, it's the rescue. It's the rescue. It's the rescue part that's the problem. It's not the structure itself. It's getting from that structure to safe ground. Yep. And the people that are rescuing you have to be safe. You can understand that, but yeah. And
we've been trying and at the leaders' forums, and that's the answers we get all the time. It's about safety for people, getting them out of the flood area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was the buybacks was originally designed for. So we are trying to pass that message through because that come from the Woodburn community. And I received a letter from a businessman this week who was very adamant that what is the future for Woodburn if all the houses go for the businesses down there. So.
I've seen that letter. Yep. Thank you.
Any other issues on matters for information? No? I'll put that recommendation then. All those carried on page 31. We now go to page 52. Questions on notice, item 20, there is nil. And 21, questions for the next meeting in writing. Has County Council's got any questions in writing? Nope. That brings us to page 53, which is matters referred to closed council. I have a recommendation on page 53 that council considers the confidential reports listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 10A2 of the Local Government Act 1993. Could I get a mover for that recommendation?
Moved, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Seconder.
Second.
Councillor Hayes. Mr General Manager, has been in written representation regarding this meeting going to closed council? If so, could you read the representation, please?
Nil received.
Are there any verbal representations from the members of the public? I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. We'll be coming back into open council. Could be 15, 20 minutes. You're all welcome to hear the resolutions of that. If not, please everyone have a very safe and happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Thanks for your attendance through the year and tonight. Is that all of the gallery? Thank you. Mr. General Manager, could you or who you nominate please read the resolutions from the closed council, please?
Yeah, we've got that organised, so the directors lead off.
In the item 22.1, tender VP 384760 Woodburn Corrocky Road, Thurles Canal culvert upgrade. Resolved that 1, council accepts the tender from Somerville Excavator Hire for the upgrade of Thurles Canal culvert on the Woodburn Corrocky Road, which represents the best value at $694,386 exclusive of GST. And 2, the General Manager be authorised to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and fixing the seal of council where necessary.
Thank you. 22.2.
In the item 22.2, tender VP 384759 Dairy Flat Culvert Construction, Woodburn Corrocky Road. Resolved that 1, council accepts the tender from McNamara and Tierney Proprietary Limited for construction of the Dairy Flat Culvert on the Woodburn Corrocky Road, which represents the best value at $1,296,924 exclusive of GST. And 2, the General Manager be authorised to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and affixing the seal of council where necessary.
Thank you. 22.3.
In the item 22.3, tender VP 387562 Albert Park Car Park Construction. Resolve that 1, council accepts the tender from McNamara and Tierney Proprietary Limited for the Albert Park Car Park reconstruction, which represents the best value at $470,354.34 exclusive of GST. And 2, the General Manager be authorised to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and affixing the seal of council where necessary.
Thank you. 22.4.
Item 22.4, tender VP 378549 Plant Hire Services. Resolved that number 1, council appoints the 55 successful tenderers for VP 378549 Plant Hire Service to its panel of suppliers, accepting the rates tendered to provide various plant hire services for the period 1 January 2024 to 31 December 2027. And number 2, the General Manager be authorised to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and affixing the seal of council where necessary.
22.5.
In relation to item 22.5, tender VP 379059 Trade Services, council resolved that 1, council appoints the 26 successful tenderers for VP 379059 Trade Services to its panel of suppliers to provide various services as outlined in this report for a period of 1 January 2024 to 31 December 2027. And 2, the General Manager be authorised to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and affixing the seal of council where necessary.
22.6.
22.6, tender VP 389461 Supply and Maintenance of Multifunction Print Devices. Resolved that number 1, council accepts the tender from Colourworks for supply and maintenance of multifunction print devices, which represents best value at $336,201.18 inclusive of GST. And number 2, the General Manager be authorised to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and affixing the seal of council where necessary.
22.7.
Item 22.7, write-off of bad debt, hardship D502789. Council resolved that it accepts the application for financial hardship and writes off a debt of $17,412.49 due to the circumstances detailed in this report.
22.8.
22.8, write-off of bad debt, hardship P138240. Resolve that, number 1, council writes off the interest, charges and fees provided in the report. Number 2, increase the flow of water restricted from 1 litre per minute to 3 litres per minute. Number 3, accepts the application for financial hardship, withholding interest charges on the remaining outstanding amount for a period of 12 months. And number 4, enters into a direct debit payment arrangement for the arrears and future instalments.
And 22.9.
So the tender for lease, Northern Rivers Livestock Exchange update. Council resolved that it receive and note the detailed independent tender assessment and the updated campaign summary and final recommendations from JLL Agribusiness for the tender for lease Northern Rivers Livestock Exchange. Point 2, continues to apply clause 178 in brackets 3E of the Local Government General Regulation 2021 to authorise the General Manager to finalise negotiations and the terms and conditions of the lease agreement as recommended by JLL Agribusiness and in line with the content of this report, and sign the lease and any other relevant documents, including affixing the seal of council where necessary. And point 3, notes the outcomes of the lease negotiations will be publicly announced when finalised, and council will receive a further report at its 20 February 2024 meeting.
Thank you, General Manager and Directors. That brings us to the last meeting of our 2023 year, and I'd like to thank everyone for their input and support during this year, and also wish all those viewing in the gallery, staff and councillors, all the best for the festive season, and may you all have a prosperous new year, and if you're travelling, please come back safely to us. Thank you. That closes the meeting.